Okay, Shelby, today you're going to put that sheet that I gave you the other day that was factoring our like terms to the test. Okay? We have these different types of equations we need to solve. So the first thing, what I need to do when I'm solving these, get a sheet out here. Is answer the question, how many answers? Okay, so I have a second power right here. So that means there's two answers for x. Okay. Now what I need to do is determine I need to know whether I need to use factoring or like terms. And that depends on how many types of x I have. Okay? So here I have x to the second and I have regular x. So if I have those two things, we're going to do factoring. So factoring. Okay. So if factoring, what we need to do is make sure we're equal to 0 and then set up our boxes. So we're equal to 0 here, that's good, and there's 2 terms, so 2 terms. So I'm going to say set boxes, count terms, okay? So I set up my box here, space parentheses, because that's your GCF, because there's 2 terms, 2. And then I see if I have a difference of perfect squares, okay? So again, 2 terms is GCF DOPS. 3 terms is GCF T. And 4 terms is grouping and DOPS. Okay. Okay, so GCF. So do I have a negative in front? I do not. I do have x on both of them, so x. And now we go with 4 and 8. So 4, 1, 4, 2 and 2. Let's see if we can divide those both by 4. So 4 divided by 4 is 1. 8 divided by 4 is 2. Okay. So 4x is the GCF. So I divide by 4x, divide by 4x, and I come up with 1x minus 2. Okay, DOPS, you got a minus, but 2 is not a perfect square, so get that out of there, and then we're ready to solve. So my 4x can equal 0, or my 1x minus 2 can equal 0. So I divide by 4. X equals 0, plus 2 plus 2, 1x equals 2. Okay, next. Again, how many answers? These x's are not to the second power, so there'd be just one answer. And then factoring our like terms, depending on what we have x, and that's all we have is just x, okay? So that means we're using like terms to solve it. So with like terms, what we do on like terms, it's a lot easier than factoring. We box x's, get them together, get non-x's together, and then solve. Okay. So like terms, we box our x's, get them together, so minus 3x, minus 3x, so it's going to be 2x plus 2, and then negative 6. Minus 2, minus 2. Get your non-x's on the other side. So 2x, and then negative 8. Divide by 2, divide by 2, and that's negative 4. Okay, next problem. X to the second power minus 10x plus 20 equals 36 minus 4x. So we have an x to the second, so there are two answers. And when I look through that equation, okay, I'm gonna go down the line, split that, okay. I see x squared, and I see regular x. That means I need to use factoring, okay. Now, factoring, you need to have an equals 0, so minus 36. That didn't have an x, so that would go nicely with 20. Then plus 4x, and that would go very nicely with our 10. Okay? And then that gives me 1x to the second. Then I take negative 10 minus 4, or sorry, plus 4. I got negative 6, so minus 6x. And then 20 minus 36 is negative 16, so minus 16 equals 0. Okay, so I have my 0. Now, set up boxes and count the terms. So 1, 2, 3. So 3 terms is GCFT. Okay, GCF, do I have one? No. I mean, 1's your smallest, and we don't have x, there's no negative, so no. A, B, C. So 1 times negative 16. So A times C. 1 times negative 16. That gives me negative 16. And I'd be then looking for a difference. That would equal 6. Okay. So 1 and 16. 16 minus 1 is not 6. So 16 divided by 2 is 8. 8 minus 2 is 6. Okay. Now what is A equal to? A equals 1. Okay. So 2 parentheses is what we need. So it's just x, 2, 8. So we have minus on 6. Minus 6 means we have minus 8. And difference means they're opposite. So x plus 2 can equal 0, or x minus 8 can equal 0. So I minus 2, so I get negative 2. Plus 8, I get 8. Okay, next one. How many answers? 3. The number of solutions is determined by the highest exponent. Factoring are like terms. So I have x to the third, I have x to the second, and I have x. Okay, so that's an obvious factoring. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4. So count terms, and then 4 terms grouping and dots. So groupings, when we make a big box, and then we make a dots box. Okay, so we got 1x to the third plus 2x to the second, and then negative 9x minus 18. Okay. So here I got 1 as my smallest, so that's not going to work, but I have x third, x second, so we take x second from that. Okay. And then 9 and 18, so 9, 1 and 9. 2's a decimal, 3 and 3. And let's try to divide. So does 9 divide by 9? Yep. Does 18 divide by 9? Yes, it does. Okay. So negative 9. You got to move a negative because of that. Okay. Negative, negative. Okay, so I factor out x to the second. I factor out negative 9. That's going to give me 1x plus 2. And those cancel because they're the same. And then here I have 1x. And negative 18 divided by negative 9 is 2. Plus 2. Okay, so I have 1x plus 2, 1x plus 2. Put that out here. And then I have x to the second and negative 9. So minus 9. Okay, now dots. You got a minus, so we have it. So 3 times 3 and x times x. So x plus 3, x minus 3. And remember, this guy here drops down. Because that's how I get my 3 answers. So 1x plus 2 equals 0. X plus 3 equals 0. X minus 3 equals 0. Minus 2, 1x equals negative 2. Minus 3, x is negative 3. And plus 3, x is positive 3. Okay. Next up, I'm going to ask myself how many answers I have in x second. That's a 2. So there's 2. Okay, now what do I have for x's? I have x to the second, and x to the second again, and then regular x. Okay, so we have to use factoring. Now, when we're using factoring, we have to be equal to 0. So minus 2x to the second. This one's a hard one, Shelby. Minus 2x to the second there, because those are both second. And then plus 16x. And there is nowhere to add 16x. It can't go with that, so I put plus 16x. Okay, now that's going to be 12x to the second. But after that, then I need to put my x term, the 16x. So plus 16x minus 3 equals 0. Okay, now count the terms. So 1, 2, 3. So 3 terms, GCF T. GCF, negative in front, no. You have x on everything, no. You have 3, so 1 and 3. So no GCF. Because 3, you can't divide all these by 3, because 12 divided by 3 is 4. 16 divided by 3 is, okay, it doesn't work, and then that's it. Okay, so I take A times C. I take 12 times negative 3. That gives me negative 36. I'll show you here. And then difference of 16. Okay, so 1 and 36. Nope. 2 and 18. Yep. A equals 12. Okay, so that means if it's not a 1, we need 4 parentheses. So 12. So 12 and 12. X and X, and 2 and 18. So I have plus 16x, so plus 18, and difference would mean the opposite. Okay, so my smallest factor here is 2, and my smallest factor here is 12. So 2, 1, and 2. 12 divided by 2, yep. So we should divide these in half, both of them. So it's 6x minus 1. Okay, now this is a little bit harder because 12 is kind of a big number. So 1 and 12, 2 and 6, 3 and 4, and then I'm already at 4. Okay. So do they divide by 12? No. All right, because 18 won't divide by 12. Okay, now let's look at 6. Yep. Yep. So 6. That's 2x plus 3. Okay, so I'm down to my factoring. So 6x minus 1 equals 0. 2x plus 3 equals 0. So plus 1, 6x equals 1, divided by 6. Okay, and 1 divided by 6, kind of a tough one. 0.16 or 17, put whichever one you want. And then 2x equals negative 3 divided by 2 divided by 2, negative 1.5. Okay, next one. That one took a while. How many answers? X seconds, so there's 2 answers. Okay, now which technique do I have to use? I have x squared, and that's x, so that's going to be like terms. Okay, so box the x's, get them together. Well, I only have 1, so they are together. Now get your non-x's together. So 4x to the second equals 96. Now divide by 4. So x to the second, I don't know what 96, I think it's 24. And then we find the square root of both sides. Now when I square root, it could be positive or negative. Then I find the square root of 24 on my calculator, because 24 is not a perfect square, so it's going to be a decimal. So 4.89 or 4.9, doesn't matter. So 4.89, negative 4.89. The round, technically it's 4.9 if you round, but I'm not really concerned about that now. How many answers? There's a second power, so there's 2. Factoring are like terms, so I have x to the second, and that's the only x I have, so then I want to use like terms, okay? So I box my x, they're already together, and then get your non-x's together on the other side. 0 and 36 are both non-x's. And then we divide out 4, so x to the second equals 9, square root, positive, negative, and that's 3. So 3 and negative 3. 9 is a perfect square, so it's going to be a nice round number. Okay, my next one. How many answers? There's 2. So factoring are like terms. Well, we have x second, and we have regular x, so right away that's a factoring problem. So factoring, we have to get it equal to 0, so minus 7x squared, and that would go with my 5x squared, minus 7x, and that would go with my 3x. So 5 minus 7 is negative 2x squared. 3 minus 7 is negative 4. Equals 0, okay? Now, set the boxes and count the terms. So 1, 2. And dots, okay? GCF, you got a negative in the front? Yes, I do. You have x on both? Yes, I do. So x. 4 and 2, so 2, 1, and 2. You can divide those both by 2. Okay, they're both even, they divide by 2, so negative 2x. So it's positive 1x and plus 2. Now we don't even have a difference, so we don't need to do the dots. Just going to take that and solve it. Negative 2x equals 0. 1x plus 2 equals 0. Divided by negative 2, I get 0 for my first answer. Minus 2, I get negative 2 for my second.